Joe from ArtAlienTV, and today I'm going to show you a couple of new Gigapans I've got from the Perseverance rover, particularly this one here, Sol 1596, and the main one here, Sol 1593. Okay, so we're doing some alien art analysis here because these are statues, it looks like, and I'll crack on with it. And for those that don't believe that these things exist, and there are people out there that still don't believe a lot of these things, check out my Mars Animals page on my website, ArtAlien.tv. There'll be a link to this in the description, as there will these as well, right? So you can check these out yourself, and there are many examples that I've shown, some of them found by other people, like this dragon, a carving. And this one's even got something in its mouth, which is insane, right? Like a bone sticking out here or something. And there are things like this, which looks a bit like a meerkat or something similar. It's quite small. A lot of these things are quite small on Mars. But many of the animals that I've shown before look very similar to ours, but they're much smaller. But occasionally there are very large things as well. This one here is not very big, but you can just about make it out. Now, what I've got here, I've got a double pan. There's mass left at the top and mass right at the bottom, just to prove that this thing's here. I've done both from both cameras, and there's not a lot of difference, but the right one is slightly closer, so it's slightly easier to see. It's just a little bit closer to the right camera. Use a magnifier if you have one. Now, the magnifier will blur things slightly, but it does enlarge things. But there it is, and I'm calling this the desert fox because it looks like a fox. It could be a jackal, could be a dog, who knows, but it looks like a desert fox, similar to some we have on Earth. Now, it's not that clear here, so what I've done, I've got a clip of it here in the actual Gigapan. I've got a couple of clips of it here. I've got the left and the right together, and the right one at the bottom here, okay, which have been brightened up quite a lot, because the images are a little bit dull sometimes. This is the left one. Okay, you can see those eyes, you can see the snout, you can see an ear sticking up. This ear seems to be broken off at the top here. So I'm guessing this is actually made of stone, right? Like many of the things I've shown before, they're actually stone carvings of animals, and some of them look very strange and a bit kind of childish looking. I'll show you some examples of these in a minute. But some of them look quite realistic and are quite nicely done, I would say, by craftsmen with high skill. So this is alien art analysis, right? This is what my channel's all about. I do show things like cities and buildings and stuff as well on Mars, as well as UFOs, not just animals and skulls and things like that. But these are the most common thing you find on Mars. I would say I've got hundreds of these on my channel. And in fact, if you go through my playlists, go to my playlist page and look at the Mars Animal playlist, you'll see that there's a hell of a lot. There's well over 100 videos in that playlist. But basically, the right image is the best one. It's slightly sharper. And let's go a bit closer. You can see that isn't just a rock, right? It's pretty obvious what we're looking at. Everyone's seen a fox. Okay, everyone's seen one, if not in real life, on TV or in a book. So there's no excuses for this one. But the right one here is actually slightly better. You can see a bit of eye detail here, a bit better. The light's at a slightly different angle on this one because obviously it's a different camera. But these have both been enhanced the same. The desert fox, there he is. And it actually looks sharper if you have it at this distance. If you go too close, this is what you get. You get a load of pixelation. Okay. Now, if this was closer to the rover, of course, we'd see a lot more detail. So there it is, the desert fox. This is a multi-pan of images here. There's nothing much to see in the one at the top because it's all too far away. But in some of the closer things on the ground here, we have this thing. which is a really strange looking statue, just here. Now, if you get too close, it's a bit blurry because it's not very close. So you need to go back a bit and then use the magnifier. There we are. You've got a mouth here, we've got a neck sticking up, a very strange head that looks like it's very flat on top, 2 eyes and a nose there, which looks like it's broken, just there. So the nose looks broken off. There's also something weird next to it, but it's a bit blurry and not a great deal of detail here, unfortunately, but you can still see what it is. People say, oh, it's not real because it's too blurred. No, I mean, if you take a picture of a car that's 50 meters away or something, and you don't zoom in, or if you zoom in and it's a bit blurry, it's still a picture of a car, even if it's blurred and it's a long way off. It just doesn't look as well defined from a distance. But you can still tell what things are, even if they are at a distance and a bit blurry. I'll zoom in. You can see that they've got these weird bulbous eyes and a strange mouth here. Let's go back a bit. This is actually the clearest view of it. And when you get too close, it doesn't actually help, but you can zoom in a bit. You can see the snout quite clearly there. That isn't a coincidence. And 2 eyes, 2 eye sockets, dark eye sockets, ear, broken ear. There's a strange box-like rock or something behind it, which obscures the shape slightly, because it's similar in colour up here, this sort of bluish colour. There's the cover image. You can see where I sharpened it here, it's a bit sharper. But when you sharpen things that are a long way off, they do get a bit fuzzy and can look really quite bad. And I often see people on the Mars groups online who over sharpen things and they look pretty terrible, right? They way overdo it. Okay, there's another one. This is a bit dull, this one a bit pink, but it's closer. It's a closer clip. Further back looks a bit better. This is completely raw, left and right. The left one isn't as clear as the right one. The right one's just a bit better detail around the snout and eye area here. But there's not a lot of difference. Here's the actual left-right enhanced. The right one's slightly better, see? Slightly better there. The snout detail's better. Looks a bit fuzzy when you get too close. Let's go back a little bit. There we are. And here it is on the actual page. Perseverance Sol 1593, just to prove that it's there. There, it's up here. Now, this actually appears in 4 images. It appears in 2 left and 2 right images. So it's definitely there. There's no doubt about that. And there's an arrow just to point where to look there. Okay. Okay. So there we are. I mean, it's a shame it's not closer. But I do have some examples of similar things that are closer, which I'm going to show you in a second. Now, this is a typical example of something that's too far away. But if you get the distance in the image right and crop it to the right size, like I have here, it doesn't look too bad. It's only when you go in like this when it looks terrible, right? But at this distance, it's just about right, and you can see the shape. You can see the broken off nose there. You can see this funny sort of mouth with a cheek sticking out like that. A very flat head. This may have been higher up here. This may have broken off. And the neck here, very dark neck area underneath. Right? And there's something weird next to it, which may be another one as well. It looks like a mouth there and a nose. But it's not very clear. For those of you that haven't been on my channel before, there are hundreds of these on my channel. Go to my playlist page and check them out. Animals. There's also things like cities, UFOs. There's nearly 100 UFO videos now, mostly on Mars. There's cities, there's buildings, there's all sorts of things like sphinxes and things like that as well. But these are some of the smaller animal things on the ground, right? This is a carving of an animal. Don't know what sort of animal it is, but you can see it's got a leg here and 2 eyes and a black snout there. Okay? So this is a figurine, a small figurine. This is about 4 or 5 inches in size, maybe a bit smaller, maybe 3. Okay? There's this thing, which is one of the best examples of a carved animal. And this was quite close to the rover. Look at that. Look at the mouth. Look at the nose detail here. We've got a snout with a nostril. We've got eyes, and we've got an ear there. Pointed sort of head. And this thing is actually sitting on what looks like a chair. which is all kind of broken. Let me show you the actual image here. Left and right. It's sitting on a chair, see that? It's all kind of broken. So this was part of a display or a carving or something, which is probably marking a grave or structure, I would imagine, a tomb below it. Because it's quite large, this is about 12 or 14 inches high, maybe a bit bigger, and it's fairly close to the rover. It's in very good detail. One of the best examples ever, I think, because it's good quality image. There's the information. This is 1117, July 24. Now this is one of my favourites still, and this also looks better if you go back a bit like this. It sharpens it up. I called it a meerkat, but who knows what it is really. This is a calcified animal. This is not a carving. This looks like a calcified creature. Okay. And the beauty of this one is a day or so later, we got different angle of it. The next day, I think it was. So we got a side view and a front almost view there. It's worth watching this video because I explain a lot more about this. This is only about 4 inches, by the way. Now, this was really early on, right? Sol 4. This is the 4th day after it landed. And this was right in front of the rover on the ground. This isn't very big. This is about 4 or 5 inches wide, maybe 6. And represents a crazy carved creature. Or even a toy. It may even be a toy. We've got a very, very odd, cartoonish looking face. With a little nose, a little mouth. There's a sort of googly eye sticking out. This one seems to be shut or missing. This eye, or damaged. We got an ear sticking up, and we got this weird kind of texture on the back, knobbly texture, and a little body with a sort of arm tucked under there, right? Insane. Absolutely insane. This is literally just after this thing landed on the surface. So I was blown away when I found this. And there's a load of other in this Sol here, Sol 4. There's tons of weird stuff. Dozens of things like this, right? This was one of the clearer things, but there's loads of other weird things that like bones and skulls and all sorts of weird things and little figurines. So yeah, and then there's things like this which are just insane. Let's go back a bit. It looks better further back. This is only about a foot tall, bit less maybe, about 9 inches maybe. Little tiny bear-like creature that's calcified. This is in Gale Crater, by the way. This is not Perseverance rover, this is Curiosity rover. And this is in the lake bed, right near the lake shore, where the animals probably used to go down to drink water. And there are loads of remains in this area of lizards and birds, calcified animals. In this Sol here, 2641, there's like calcified birds right near this, with beaks and everything. You can see what they are. Calcified remains. So that's worth watching that video, because that explains how I think these things were preserved in detail. Then we have things like this, which was found by Rami Barilan, brilliant find, still one of my favourites. The Mars Dragon. Absolutely insane. With an object in its mouth. And it's even pretty clear in the raw image here, look, at the top, on the top right. There's things like this on the ground. I've shown hundreds of these as well. Skulls on the ground, some kind of animal. This may be a bear or a dog or something, who knows. This would be like a dog skull. This is another example of what looks like a dog or a cat. And it's quite a long way from the rover. And it's quite small. This is only about 5 inches. And it's over 40 feet away from the rover, so there's not much detail. But you can see the ears and the little face there. And it's kind of a carving sat on a little like platform thing here. And then we have ones like this. You can see left and right here, and you can see the actual, if I zoom into the right one a bit here on the right, you've got a snout with nostrils, you've got 2 eyes, and you've got a mouth, but this is heavily eroded. And this probably also marks the entrance to a structure. The top of it seems to have broken off. There are probably ears sticking up here more. And here's an example of what seems to be a carving of an animal from behind, and it may be a dog or a cat or even an ape, I don't know. There's no tail, but you can see the shoulder, the back, and if you look carefully up here, you can see part of the facial detail there, but it's facing away and we never saw it from the front. No ears on it. It could be an ape. I have shown apes as well. Okay, there do seem to be some teeth-like things sticking out here. I called it a cat, but it may not be a cat. The thing sticking out on the right is a rock behind. Ignore that, it's not a tail or anything. This is the body and the head. You can see eyes, you can see a sort of snout and a little mouth. It looks almost reptilian, actually. It looks almost like one of those cats when you see a hairless cat, right? With no hair on it. They've got this weird sort of look to them. I've got hundreds of examples of these on my channel. The Martians were very artistic people, it seems, and they were pretty obsessed with these creatures, much like we were in ancient Rome and ancient Egypt and places like that, where animals played a very big part in their statuary and art. So thanks for watching. Check out the links below in the description. I'll put links to these Gigapans in the actual comments as well, so you can just click on them there. Thanks for watching. I will see you soon.